首先，请允许我介绍本环节的主持人，亚太旅游协会首席执行官桂马田先生。
Our moderator for this session is Mr. Martin Craig, CEO of PATA. Mr. Craig, please take over.
Good afternoon. Please do come in and join us. We will start in 20 seconds. In fact, to let you know, we started on time because we are live streaming this event to all 17 time zones in the PATA area, to many of the universities who are interested to hear what our leading speakers have to say and discuss. So count yourselves partly as a TV audience. There are cameras around us. They will be picking this up and sharing it with many thousands of people. So thank you all for staying right to the end of this very memorable and interesting second edition of the Global Tourism Economy Forum here in Macau. If you're watching from wherever, Brazil, Australia, any part of the PATA region, we're in the Venetian, in the heart of, let's call it, New Macau. We have been very royally entertained around the highlight features of Macau for the last few days. But that's my lead-in. I think we'll close the door and start the formalities now, if that's possible. Thank you. I am also going to have to keep the eye on the watch, as all our speakers know. They have 10 minutes to present their story in any way they choose. You'll see a big variety in the way they present their story. I am not going to try and read out their bios. You have them in front of you. They're on the program. They're on the internet. I want to save time and really give you the essence of what they have to share. And the point about this session is not to read out a lot more statistics about growth. We've heard a lot about that. It's to talk about creativity and innovation in tourism. And we have a very, I think, logical and distinguished panel who are going to share their expertise, and I hope the flow of that expertise makes sense to you, because it will start with hardware, master planning. And what better way of talking about that than actually having a snapshot of the master plans for Macau and the Pearl River Delta. And Mr. Eon's going to speak about that. Then Kay Chong, who will come up second, will talk about humanware. As the professor from PolyU in Hong Kong, many of you know Kay Chong, he's a board member of PATA. He has done a fantastic job raising standards in hospitality sector for education. We have two great entrepreneurs who are running very different but somewhat complementary businesses in China after that. Grant and Meizang. Then finally, a very peculiar combination from Thailand and Ireland. We have Kun Pam and a personal friend of mine, David, who is running the Titanic Quarter in Belfast, which has an iconic tourism theme and a very interesting social dimension. So that's a quick flow through what we're going to achieve. And I'm looking at the clock and I've got 1 minute and 9 seconds to get the first speaker on stage. Helona actually has a taser gun that she will shoot me with if I go on any longer. That's the plan. That's how we're going to spend the time together. And it's important that we infotain you, because as I often say at these conferences, isn't it great to be in the one business that produces the most memorable 2 weeks of someone's life every year? In tourism, producing holidays, trips, memories, reunions, I think we should all be pleased to have that blessing. So with no further ado, I'd like to ask our first speaker to come up, and he will be speaking in Mandarin, so those of you who need earphones, prepare them, and we'll present in 10 minutes the master plan, a snapshot of what is happening around the Pearl River Delta. Thank you very much.
各位尊敬的女士先生们，
Respected ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. So taking this 10 minutes time, I would like to share with you the regional tourism cooperation between Macau and the Pearl River Delta region. You know that in the 12th five-year plan, Macau is defined as the world tourism and leisure center. And today, being in Macau, you know that Macau is a small city. The land area is only about 30 square kilometers, with a permanent residence of 591,000. That is the latest statistic this year, and every year, over 28 million tourists come into Macau. So every square kilometer, the density of population is over 19.3 thousand. So you can see that this is one of the places with the highest population density on 1 square kilometer. So in a city with such a high population density, how can we build up a world tourism and leisure center? And I think one of the major thinkings is the regional cooperation, especially their cooperation with the surrounding cities such as Zhuhai, Zhongshan, Jiangmen. These cities on the west coast of Pearl River Delta River. And for Guangdong Pearl Delta region, this west coast of the Pearl River, if you know about the geography, then you will know that starting from Macau to Zhuhai, to Jiangmen, to Yangjiang, and Maoming, and Zhanjiang, and then finally to Hainan Island. There's one coastline of over 300 kilometers. And this coastline is coastal line. The biggest difference from the west coast of Pearl River is that in the past 3 decades, although its economy was developed, but the speed was not very high. But what is very good for us is that they still maintain a huge area of the natural scenery and natural heritage, such as the farmland, the green field. So with this coastal line of all these beautiful natural sceneries, their cooperation with Macau, I say it can be the zone for Golden Coast leisure. And I think, you see, since 2009, State Council approved the development plan for Hengqin. And with the past few years' development, Hengqin already has a certain scale. The square meter is about 106 square kilometers of Hengqin. That is about 3 times of the size of Macau. But you see, also to our joy, it also has the forest, has the coastal line, and has the wetland. And Macau, if we want to build up a world tourism center, if we combine with Hengqin, that means Macau is extended. The potential is further expanded. And for the development space, here I have some data. And this morning, from Hong Kong, one article from a Hong Kong press. There is one statistic that is for Hong Kong in terms of receiving tourists. Now Hong Kong is already under certain kind of pressure. It's already a little bit crowded. But you see that 7.15 million of the Hong Kong residents, and last year it received about 43 million tourists. That is, every one Hong Kong resident received 6.8 tourists. So the space in Hong Kong is already more crowded than before. Well, for Macau, 591,000. Last year it received about 28 million tourists. That is, every Macau tourist receive 47 tourists. So how many times is that of Hong Kong? So Macau's city development potential and the tourism handling capacity are also under challenge. So in the next decade, if Macau would like to become a world leisure center, it needs to further expand its space. And the best resource would be the surrounding cities and the Golden Coastal Line. And I prepared a PPT, but because of limited time, here I cannot present the PPT. But on the PPT, I prepared a slide which has something about transportation and cultural tourism, and also the 5 major airports in Pearl River Delta region. And if you want to develop a world tourism center, then the transportation, the airline, the flights would be very important.
So only by doing so can we get to other places, such as in North America, Europe, or Southeast Asia, to be connected with Macau and Hong Kong by the combination of airline and roadways to build a strong transport network and to connect all these points together. First, I would like to share with you the most recent development. I believe that along the coastal lines, we could develop coastal development. We can develop coastal resources. Guangdong province recently has raised a new project, which is cruise ship. That is to say, in the future, in Guangdong, we're not only going to be developing those land traffic as well as coastal cruise ship transport. Through such development, we can combine cruise ship tours together with land tours and air travel. Because on the west side of Pearl River, there's only one airport. So if we can connect Macau with other cities by the coastal line, we could expand our business into cruise ships. So Macau, at one point, its network could actually cover a wider region of the Pearl River Delta. To work together and build a center of world tourism. By doing so, connected industries such as hotels, retails, etc. could also be driven forward. We can build a very long industry chain. Whether we can realize this goal or not, well, Macau, according to the plan laid out by the government, if we could do everything accordingly, I believe that the goal should be able to be realized.
Perfect timing. 15 seconds to spare. I have to tell you, Seong, your charts are well worth studying, but there were 16 or 20 of them, and they're quite complex. And for those of you who really want to know more about this, we will put it onto our website and build it into the final video. But frankly, the charts were so complex and dense, they might have crashed the live streaming. So thank you for summarizing. Can I ask you one question, which I think people here would like clarification on? What is the current timing for the completion of the bridge from Hong Kong to Macau?
Well, according to the materials that I have, this bridge is expected to be finished by 2016. And the bridge would be between Macau and Zhuhai. Of course, we will have custom offices and immigration offices there. It would also be connected to Guangdong province by a 12-kilometer tunnel. And then the exit would be very close to Zhuhai. There's a place called Hongwan. After that, it would connect with the Western Highway, Western Coastal Highway, which is already completed. Through this highway, we can reach Jiangmen, Yangjiang, Maoming, Zhanjiang. All these places in Guangdong province, even to the most western part of Guangdong.
I think that, as everyone who lives around the Pearl River Delta knows, will have a huge impact. And at the time, I remember when I was living in Hong Kong, it was explained that Hong Kong would be no longer at the end of a cul-de-sac. It would be on a ring road that connected all of the Pearl River Delta. So we look forward to that development. But as I said at the beginning, with this fantastic investment in hardware, in planning, in bridges and tunnels and amazing facilities such as the one we're sitting in now, it's still not going to be a good tourist environment unless the humanware is developed. And I should assure you that PATA are paying due attention to this, and we have a task force focused on what we call human capital development. In other words, lifetime training. And the person with very deep knowledge of that is now going to be invited on stage to make his presentation. Professor Kei Chung, thank you.
Good afternoon. Throughout yesterday and today, we heard so much about tourism development potentials in our part of the world. In order for us to continue to sustain our development, I think we need to continue to innovate our industry. That's, I think, what we are discussing today. Many of you might have read this book called Blue Ocean Strategy, or at least you heard about this book. It was a popular seller, published about 10 years ago, written by two professors at INSEAD Business School in France, Professor Kim and Professor Mabon. Basically, what this book is saying is that in order for us to continue to sustain our business, we have to innovate. They are using analogy of the sharks fighting for food in the ocean. They are fighting each other in a competitive environment. It turns out to be a bloody red ocean. There are sharks which are so smart enough. They go to the blue ocean with new innovative strategies. They are successful. Use this as an example. We all know what this product is. This is Tide, product developed in 1970s. It was seen as innovation. Housewives love this because they can put a little bit of this laundry detergent and wash the entire load of clothes. But as time goes by, there was more competition coming from other providers. Their market share was shrinking from 100%, 90%, 70, 60, even down to 20%. The Procter & Gamble, which is maker of this Tide, came up with new product. That is this product called Tide to Go. What is Tide to Go? When you are eating lunch, you may drop oil on your necktie. Even after dry cleaning, this tie will never be the same. You can use this pen, just tip it off and rub it off. Then the dirt will be gone instantly. What an innovation, isn't it? Forbes magazine said in 3 years, Procter & Gamble sold 5 million of this around the world. So that is innovation, thinking something unexpected through research and development. As Martin mentioned, the largest challenge for our industry is developing human capital, not only who can manage our industry, but also who can think and innovate. So in our school, we have been making these efforts through research and other areas of development. Here is an example. At Hong Kong Polytechnic University, some of you may have seen our new teaching hotel called Hotel Icon. University has invested 1.3 billion Hong Kong dollars, approximately 170 million US dollars, developing a hotel for purpose of teaching research so students can use it for innovating our industry, thinking outside the box. Here's one example of what we have done as an example of innovation. There was an observation when we were looking at all the flights coming to Hong Kong. Imagine there are thousands of flights coming to Hong Kong. There was observation that many of these long-haul flights coming from London or New York happen to be arriving very early in the morning at 5 or 6 a.m., which means that there are business travelers arriving in the hotel at 8 a.m. They said, I want to check in, but rooms are not available for them to check in until 2 p.m. in the afternoon. So they cannot change, they cannot take shower, they cannot go to meeting. So we came up with the idea that we have to create a lounge for these people, simply call it timeless lounge. There is a lounge with no time in it. You can imagine it's a first-class lounge in the airport, slightly better than that, smaller. So guests can use that lounge and take a shower, change, go to meetings. So this was an example of innovation that we introduced. Now many hotels are coming to look at what we have done and say, wow, this is something neat. Why we didn't think about this? So this is an example. Here's another example. We are all trying to be green. We heard much about green tourism, sustainable tourism in the last 2 days. So in Hong Kong, we wanted to create a garden, but there's no room for garden. Land is expensive. We came with a very wild idea, creating garden on the wall. So we did. We came with this concept called vertical garden. We have 21-meter tall wall, put 8,000 plants on it. Many people say that you are crazy. How can these plants grow there? How do you water them? Mosquitoes will grow. All kinds of pessimism about this approach. Made it so successful. Now we found that, first of all, when the guests are arriving, the first thing is they say, wow, we know what they will ask. Are they real? They are real plants. Second question is, how do you water them? Not only that, we found that the temperature has gone down. We are using less energy, and there are environmental benefits. This is to think about thinking innovation, teaching our students to think outside the box. Now, we are talking about human capital management. Today's one of the most well-known management thinkers is Gary Hamel. He said that, why employees are not engaged, not working hard, is because the management blows, basically. We do not really understand employees and do not manage them properly. As in my profession, I'm dealing with these new clients who are what we call Gen Y, Generation Y. In China, we call them post-80s generation. Who are they? They are different species of human beings, very different from many of us, from baby boomers and Generation X and so on. PricewaterhouseCoopers did a global study about Gen Y, how they are different. These are some characteristics. For them, self-expression is important. Work-life balance is so important. In my generation, I would place far more emphasis on my career and work than anything else. For young generation, no way. They want to put life before anything else. Different priorities. Self-expression is important, and also connectivity. Social connectivity is important. I'll tell you one example. As I'm dealing with our students all the time, we had to ask this question. I asked a group of young students, when you get up in the morning, what you do first thing in the morning? I was expecting they would say that, well, I stretch my arms or do exercise or drink a glass of water or something. You know what? Answer was that we check Facebook. Why they are checking Facebook? I started looking at why they are doing it. They are checking on everything. This is all about emotional connectivity. They want to be connected. They want to report on status, what they are doing. Sometimes there's a function called check-in. I just arrived at Venice and Macau. They want to tell the whole world what they are doing. And then they go back to check how many people say, I like it too. So this is all about emotional connectivity. I learned the lesson. As a dean of the school, I encourage my students to come see me if they have any issues or concern or anything. Nobody's coming. Then I created my own Facebook, invited them to join. Now I have 1,000 friends who are students. They tell me anything, everything on Facebook. I can also monitor what they are talking to each other. So this is a new way of managing. You have to think about how you can manage our young people. I asked one of my students, have you talked to Sarah about this? He said, oh, I tried, but Sarah is not online. So communication means online. So now I have Facebook, KakaoTalk, Viber, WhatsApp, Weibo, anything on my phone because I want to be connected with them. So I think this is an important lesson. This is how our school structure has been modified to fit this new model of management. As you can see, we put our students on top because they are our customers. We have industry because we have the students to support our industry. I'm at the bottom as the dean of school. I'm a servant. I'm a leader together. I call myself a servant leader. I'll tell you how this can lead to change of our organization, our structure, and our culture. In our school, we have built this kind of culture, learning culture, where the professors and students are together. Here's one example. Every year, we have a class called Special Events Class. 25 undergraduate students are organizing international conference, very professionally. As a conference chairman, I told them that I have 3 requirements for you. You must have minimum 300 paid delegates at the conference. We have to financially break even. 3, you must have at least 100 papers to be presented at the conference. One student asked me, Sir, Professor Chon, I want to ask you, if we do all these things, what will you do for us? I said, well, I'm sure your teacher, your lecturer will give you good grades. And one student said, no, we are asking you, Dean, what will you do to us as a client? What do you want me to do? One student said, can you sing a song with us at the end of the conference? I think I can do that. Another student raised his hand and said, can you dance with us? I said, why not? Then I realized I made a mistake. 1 week before the conference, I was in the United States for my son's wedding. A student sent me an email saying that, we got all things accomplished. You have to keep your promise. You have to sing and dance with us. These are 3 songs we'll dance to. One is something called Super Junior's Sorry, Sorry. One is Girls' Generation's The Boys, Bring the Boys Out. Number 3 was Michael Jackson's Billie Jean. I had no idea. Every morning when I went to the gym, I was practicing, sorry, sorry. When I came back, I had to dance with them. Now, this is an example of how we have to modify ourselves to changing learning environment. This is my last slide. If you see these logos, we all recognize these are coffee chains around the world. One stands out, That is obviously Starbucks coffee. One coffee chain changed the world of coffee industry. What is the lesson we have learned is what I call Starbucks effect. We are here to create that Starbucks effect. Once we create that effect, innovations, then we can all benefit our industry. Thank you very much.
Well, I promised you infotainment. I think you got it there. Okay, that was excellent. Really, really good. I hadn't thought about it until I saw the final chart, but obviously it wasn't Psy that started the Korean dancing craze. He must have been taught by someone. So thank you again. I'm now going to ask the next pair of speakers to come on stage because, as I said, these are a very intriguing couple. If you look at the names of their company, one is Wild China and the other is Naked Resorts. And we took the liberty of taking them to see a taboo show last night, but we won't go through a review of that. But I can assure you, even though they've only recently met, they've got a lot of common interest and have both achieved a great deal in their individual businesses. So Grant and Mei Zhang, would you like to come on board? And we're giving you the option, as you know, how you do your presentations. But in seating, Grant, you are going to be there. And Mei, you go ahead. Go ahead. You know the routine. We look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you all. This is an extremely hard act to follow. But I'll start by telling you, Professor, first thing I do in the morning, I check WeChat. So I'm somewhere belonging to that generation. I'm Mei Zhang, founder of Wild China, and I get this question all the time. How wild is Wild China? And I'll say, if you want to explore the wilder parts of China, we are it. We are your solution to experience the rest of China beyond Beijing, Xi'an, Shanghai. So we run trips across the western Tibet, Xinjiang, and Guizhou, Yunnan, all those regions. And let me take you on a quick trip to set the context of what we do so you can get the context of what I'm going to talk about in innovation. This is a luxury tented camp on Tibetan grassland in Qinghai, Yushu. Every summer, every July, they have this amazingly beautiful horse racing festival gathering there. And the nomads would come in their tents and they would cook themselves. Our clients want to experience the same thing. They didn't want to stay in hotels in the town nearby. So what can we do? This is what we did. We built a luxury tented camp. And if you pay attention, next to each tent, there's a smaller tent. Any wild guess what that is for? Convenience. This is the view. So you're living like a nomad, but you live with a little bit of luxury. And during the day, we created all the activities because the area doesn't have any scenic sites, really, per se. There may be one or two monasteries we can visit. But mostly, we organize hikes. We take them out in nature and really connect with the land and connect with the people. It's a horse racing festival, and so they join the fun. In the evening, they return and dine under the stars. This is the mess tent. I think I can go there right now. If I were there tonight for the Moon Festival, I would be very happy. And here I'll pause. So what is innovative about what we did? I looked back preparing for this session and I said, actually it's quite simple. We simply built a slightly different business model that satisfied what people wanted. I looked around me, I said, some of these more sophisticated, better educated clients coming to China or nowadays going out of China are not really looking for this type of experience, which is prevalent everywhere. You see this all the time at Tiananmen Square and Forbidden City, and this is in a cave, and you will see this probably in Paris and I'm sure in Macau, everywhere. I asked myself one question. What do the clients want? And how can I deliver that? What do they want? I fundamentally believe travelers, I don't call them tourists, I call them travelers. They want an experience. They don't really need another tourist attraction, another 景点. But they want experience. Now, this is not easy because when you don't have a specific site to go to, you have to keep yourself busy creating activities, like I mentioned earlier, to keep the travelers very engaged. And this picture you're seeing is a group of Harvard Business School alumni whom we took to the beautiful province of Guizhou, which we learned about earlier today. Without the nice hotels or roads, we actually went to the villages and we built an irrigation ditch for the village. The students came back raving about the experience, and they remember the experience. They stay connected with each other because the trip gave them something different. The second thing they want is, I believe they want to get out of the bus. This is fundamentally against the industry routine. The industry says volume is king. So you have to be on the bus to have 45 people together. But I fundamentally believe the bus actually in some way hinders your experience. So I said, okay, let's tailor-make these programs. Our average group size is 3 people. Now, to a lot of business owners here, it sounds terribly scary because that means it's not scalable. That means a lot of hard work. But you can do it if you have the right supply chain technology and the right team to do it. And it's worth it. On our website, the amount of reviews from the clients made it worth it for the hard work. And then they also want to skip the tourist souvenir shops and skip the table lunches and dinners that are served particularly for tourists. I used to think this tourist trinket shop and table lunches was a Chinese characteristic until I went around to Morocco, to various North Korea recently. I realized this is an issue of the entire industry supply chain. It is how the business is run. But when you ask yourself, do you want to shop there? Do you want to eat the lunch? I heard so many times people came to China and said, the Chinese food here is not very good. And I said, you must be eating at the wrong places. You must be eating at these tourist places. So in Chinese we say, 己所不欲，勿施于人. Whatever you don't want it for yourself, don't give it to others. And so I took that principle to heart. Now, it's easy for me to promise everything to my clients. In the end of the day, it's up to the guide and the driver to really deliver. And here, I think it's more fundamental to our business model because we changed the incentive structure. Traditionally, the industry incentive structure, guides and drivers don't get paid. They get paid when they go shopping, kickbacks and commissions. And what do the guides want? They want to make a living, but I also believe they want to make a living with dignity. I myself worked as a guide back in college, and I hang around behind the tour group. After they are gone, I would take the 2,000 kuai from the store. It's a miserable way of living. There was no dignity. And so I said, okay, we're going to pay the guides. And the entire industry, all my friends in the industry told me, no, you can't do that because when they buy a jade bracelet, the kickback is much bigger than, or the watch nowadays from wherever, is much bigger than whatever you can afford. But I said, I trust the tour guides. There must be a group of them who are very good, who also want to have a dignified living. For the past 13 years, I think I've made it work. We have a very solid group of guides who do that, and I owe them big thanks. And what about me, my shareholders, and my staff? We also want something. We want profit. We want to make a living as well. So I'm not shy about charging for our services. This is just an example of a trip. On the CITS website, the Yangtze cruise, 10-day or 12-day journey, is about $1,200. And for our experience, a total sort of introduction China experience that covers Beijing, Shenzhen, Shanghai, and Yunnan costs about $4,500 to $4,800. Yes, we are 3 to 5 times the cost of other agencies. But if you really deliver the wow on the journey, I think you're going to get plenty of clients. And some of you may recognize these are our best-looking celebrity clients. We've been very lucky. What we've done, I think I'm honored to say that the industry has given us some recognition for the small contribution we've done in improving the quality of tour experiences in China. But more importantly, Recently, a lot of you may know the new tourism law was just passed, which is about to take effect in 2 weeks' time in China, 10 days' time. And when you look at the law, when I look at it, it really said specifically the things we've been practicing for the past 13 years. You cannot price your tour packages on artificially low. You cannot take clients to enforced shopping areas, and you cannot sell individual components of add-on tour items to clients to make extra money. All of these things we started practicing 13 years ago. And so when I look at it, the law kind of makes what I've done insignificant, because now it's going to become the norm. And then I realized that's what innovation is about. When going to Starbucks becomes the norm, that's the right innovation. So I'm happy that we could do our little bit in helping the industry to change. Now going forward, what's next? I know I have 1 minute. It's flashing. We have to keep innovation, keep going to the next stage. So most importantly, when you look at the world market, Chinese are going everywhere. And I fundamentally believe Chinese travelers are becoming as sophisticated as any other international travelers at a much higher speed. So I have to do what I've done for domestic travel now internationally. It's a very challenging task, but whoever gets it done will have the market in their pocket. And domestic travel, however, I think is going to become more and more replaced by self-guided travel. And now, whoever succeeds in refining their expertise in each area will have a place for existence. Also, let's not forget technology enables self-guided travel will be the winner. Thank you very much.
Finished spot on time as well. Grant, you've a tough act to follow yourself, but I'm sure you'll fill the boots. Grant is fully described, as everyone else is, of course, in the fine materials that you've been given, and I think you're going to enjoy his presentation. It's not wild, it's naked, but do explain that. Thank you very much, Grant.
Thank you, Martin. And yes, great speeches, all of you so far. A tough act to follow on an afternoon like this. But let me begin. Naked. Yes, it's an unorthodox name that we chose. And many people always ask me, do you wear your clothes? And is it a nudist colony? I must mention our resorts are all in China, so that should answer your question. Naked, actually, the word that we chose to name our company more personifies our interests in looking after nature, in caring for nature, in building sustainably, and operating in a sustainable fashion. It kind of means bear yourself to nature, take away the excess of what you don't need, and live a slightly more simple life. And we can certainly do that a lot in construction. But that's the English name, and that's a small brand, because our business is in China. And we're really a Chinese brand. And the Chinese brand is Lo Xing. So for those of you who don't speak Mandarin, that means naked heart. And by putting the two together, it became very poetic. And the Chinese community really, really loved it. And we really much consider ourselves a Chinese brand that understands the Western needs. Or understands, not the Western needs, at least what Western lifestyle is. But at the end of the day, we consider ourselves very Chinese. So this is our little tagline, get naked, bear yourself to nature. So you can see we're obviously a little bit fun. And naked is memorable, so I'm sure that most of you won't forget it after today. Set the tone here. A lot of you probably have never heard of Naked. We're a blip in the ocean compared to some of the big names and brands that have been here today. But to give you some background, I came to China in 2005, and I started Naked in 2007. And I really didn't do it with the aim to build a great empire of resorts or anything of the sort. In fact, I just did it more out of my own need. In China, certainly in 2007, there was a very limited amount of lifestyle. When I say lifestyle, I mean lifestyle products. You know, getting out, just going for a walk in the mountain or staying in a country home. None of these things were there. So we built a few farmhouses with very limited money and limited investment, at least, more for ourselves. And our clientele were foreigners. But I soon realized that, wow, everyone needed it so badly. We were full from the minute we opened, and it was a realization that, well, maybe I should do this as a business, a real job. And that's when my wife and I decided to invest further into a new resort, which we opened in 2011. This is a substantially more investment. We spent about $300 million building the resort. And I'm going to take you through a few slides to show you why we're quite different. Now, to put it in context, my wife and I, neither of us come from hospitality. My wife's an architect, and I'm not sure what I am really. But we didn't understand tourism probably as well as everyone in this room probably knows more about it than we did. So we just really designed what we thought would be the right thing. And probably today, no one would do anything like what we're doing. But when you come to our resorts, you will see that they're very, very different. And one of the different things is we certified this resort to be LEED Platinum. We're the first people in China to ever achieve that certification, and it cost a hell of a lot of money, and very few developers today would do that. And perhaps I wouldn't even do it again. But the reason was we were really doing it with our values at the forefront of what we wanted to do. We wanted to do something proper. We wanted to do something green. We wanted to do something sustainable. We wanted to do something that people were going to enjoy. So when you look around the resort, you'll see that the properties are spread out all over the place. We have 400 mu of land, which I need to think in acres and hectares for a second. I think that's a few hundred hectares. I can't remember. I now think in Chinese. A mu is a Chinese thing. It's 666 square meters. So we have 400 of those things. And you'll see in this slide, there you can hardly see the buildings. We don't have any big monster building, but we have 121 rooms, and we have 99 buildings spread out over this property. And you'll see nothing like this in China. And we think largely that this was one of the main reasons that people really loved coming to our properties, and we've become as successful in what we've done so far. So, we've been a little lucky. My wife and I probably don't need to be the people doing all the investing now going forward, and we have 5 more resorts that are under development, and we'll be investing about $800 million over the next 3 years on 5 new projects. And that seems wow for 2 little kids that we're doing a small little resort idea. But that tells you a little bit about the scale of China. And that's going to bring me to I guess, why am I talking here? Actually, Martin, why am I talking here exactly? But we're talking about innovation. And it struck me that Martin thought that we were innovating in China. And we were bringing a new product to China. And I realized perhaps we're not innovating a new product that hasn't been there. This is very common in Africa, it's very common in Europe, and it's very common in the West. But in China, it certainly is innovation. And it made me think a lot more about how developers and hotel operators are developing in China today. The first question at almost every single site visit that I go to now, with the local partner developer or the government, is how long is it going to take to get the money back? How many villas are you going to build? How much are you going to sell it for? How much profit are you going to make? And those are serious questions, and they're very valid questions to ask. But to me, it's certainly not the first questions we should be asking. The question we should be asking is, what is the customer going to do? Why are they going to come here? What is the reason for their visit? And this does not seem to be even on the radar as the majority of the resorts that I'm seeing being built in China today. I don't want that to change because I'm quite enjoying the competition. But it is important that we start to realize in the resort and hotel business that that is the core reason for our business. So our resorts do focus on lifestyle. So I'll just throw a few slides to give you an idea of the kind of stuff that you will experience at our resorts. So, horse riding, but not normal horse riding, trail riding in the mountains, where you can really explore the historic mountains of Moganshan. Just fun stuff with kids playing around, infinity pools in the forest, private dining on private decks, just watching a movie at night, by the bar. And these are lifestyle things, nothing extraordinary, but nothing you won't find these things in China tourism today. So what is needed? What needs to change in China? How do we need to innovate to make this change? Well, I think that the key to this innovation is for the other developers, the other hotel operators, to come to China and be a little bit more brave. To not focus tourism around the historical or cultural areas of China. Now, I'll give you an example. In our resort, we're built right next to a place called, a mountain called Moganshan. It's I think they call it a grade 2 tourist site in China. And majority of the people think that we built this resort near Moganshan because we thought the customers would come to Moganshan and then they would check into our resort. Well, actually, you can't walk in at our resort. There's no walk-in check-ins. And then people thought, well, our guests would want to go to Moganshan to see the top of the mountain. And, well, sorry, only about 3% of our customers actually go to this tourist site. So it makes you realize that it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be some cultural, historical place to do this. You can choose any natural place and build a great resort. So in summary, there's this wonderful Chinese quote. As some of you might know it. 天时地利人和. For those of you who don't know what that means, it kind of means you've got to get one of those things to be successful. All right? One of those things is you've got to be in the right time, the right place, and you've got to have the right people. Well, I'm glad to say that I think, fortunately for Naked Retreats, and we're in the right place at the right time, and I think we have the right people. So thank you very much for listening to me today.
Very good. This really gets difficult for the last two because we've had such good presentations and finishing perfectly on time again, Grant. I'm just going to take a minute to ask a few questions of our central panelists. I think, firstly, Grant, you've been way too modest, that you have shown great imagination, and I think I'm right in saying Einstein said imagination is more important than knowledge, and I think both of you exhibit that. But what do you think China can learn from your two experiences as it goes through this phenomenal growth? And as we hear all the time at conferences, we're trying to find the magic balance between people, profit, and planet. So what would you first like to comment on, Mei Zhang?
Thank you. I learned a lot from Grant's Naked Retreat. Incredibly well done. I think one of the things I look at tourism around China, one of the things that struck me most is if there's a successful model, everyone follows it. And I named it to myself, Lijiang model, the mass tourism. And I think it's really important in order for the industry to be sustainable. We've got to think out of the box. It's okay not to follow suit and take a risk. And as long as you are client-centric, focused on what value am I adding, do I have the skills to add this value, I think profits come later. They will come. That's
good. Grant, please.
I'd love to add to that. It's working. Oh, is that right? There's a great example. When I came to Shanghai about 8 years ago, we were seeing the first spas being built in the city, and people were saying, oh, you know, who's going to use a spa when there's such amazing local massage places? Why would you go to the spa? Today there's about 200 spas in Shanghai. The speed at which the people will copy innovation is incredible. And that's a good thing. There's nothing wrong with copying a good thing. But what we're not seeing is a lot of creative new things coming out. But we're starting to see it. In the last few years, we're seeing so many more lifestyle products coming to the market. You're seeing bicycles, mountain bikes, selling at a much faster rate because people are buying these bikes for lifestyle. And that's a sign of a change that's happening and that will result in people wanting to explore, do more things, and hopefully more management and developers building things that are more fun for people to do.
Can I just add to that? I think we are seeing this proliferation of creativity in the private sphere. And this is a perfect forum, perfect venue to really, for me to express, I think there's a huge need and desire for the decision-making bodies, for the various destination owners to do something in that regard as well. And we are seeing that, but more and faster, I think the entire industry would move faster.
Good. Well, that's exactly why we're all here, to learn from each other. Kay, have you got any reflections? Are you educating the right people to populate these two companies?
I think, as I mentioned in my presentation, the largest challenge we have is in managing these young people. We have to find a way to communicate with them. My principle in dealing with youngsters is this. There are two things we cannot compromise. Ethical values, moral principles, we have to insist on this. Other things we have to be flexible, adjust ourselves. Now, there are two issues underlying that. That is the today's theories of management, whatever we are teaching, whatever we are practicing in our industry, is based upon the theories built by my generation, that is baby boom generation. Think about this. How we motivate people, we all know how to motivate people. That motivation theory is based upon something like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which says that basic human needs are physiological needs and this and that. If you ask young people, they said, no, I don't understand. The basic needs are Wi-Fi. A different way of thinking. So you have to really understand. And secondly, especially in Asian culture, Asian context, we have done something wrong in educating young people. So they are thinking inside the box. The more educated they are thinking, more inside the box. So we have to bring them out, thinking outside the box. So that is a big challenge. So I think the example that I showed you in our innovations, we are challenging our students to think outside the box. We have to, do the same thing in our industry as well.
Thank you, Kay. Okay, so it's all down to imagination, leading to innovation and creativity, which I think we've had two great examples, as I said, quite different. But now we're going to go to our final pairing. As I said, the odd couple in many ways from Thailand and Ireland. I've already refereed a teleconference between these two, which was very good fun. So can I invite on stage Khun Pam and David, my good friend from Belfast. Please welcome them. Pam, we're going to send you over to the microphone straight away. David, you're on the extreme left wing. Pam, I am not going to try and do a long formal invitation, but I think it's very important for you to know that Pata have a really strong bond with Pam and her father, because her father brought Pata to Thailand 15 years ago. And as a child, she used to be taken to every Pata event everywhere in the world. And we've got the photo evidence, I think I'm right, Mr. Chairman, to show that. So we really feel a family connection to you. She's also our landlady, by the way, and makes us very welcome in Bangkok. But most important, to me, she's the epitome of creativity and style, and you'll find out what I mean when you see these great charts and her comments. Take it away. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. It's a great honor to be here too. Sawadee. So, this is going to be difficult. I wish I could go naked, and I wish I could go wild. But unfortunately, I'm in retail business, and you know well, retail business competition is really, really strong. And it's not locally, but it's globally nowadays. So I have no choice but to go very, very extreme. And I don't have much in the box, so I have to think out of the box. And on top of it, add a lot craziness out there. So what I'm going to present you today is something that I never thought I would do it, but I had no choice. Siam Pivat, the company I work for, actually is the first retail developer in Thailand. So we went back like 50 years ago. And our company's vision is to be the icon of innovative lifestyles. So whatever we did 50 years ago to build the first international standard hotel in Bangkok, which was the Siam Intercontinental Hotel. In those days, probably those who went to Bangkok like 40 years ago, you would realize that the architecture looked stunning and it looked different and it looked unique because it's the company objective to be different. And after that, we built the first shopping mall in Thailand, which is Siam Center. Now it's 40 years old. And after that, we built the next door shopping mall called Discovery Center. And then 10 years ago, we launched Siam Paragon, which is one of the best shopping malls in the region. It's a world-class destination. It's a phenomenon. And it's the first time that the 5 million square feet shopping mall housed the biggest aquarium in the southern hemisphere in the basement of Siam Paragon. So whatever we did, we always did something different. And it's very difficult for us because it's a benchmark that we have to always make it better and better all the time. My father used to say that you have to make tomorrow better than today. So isn't that really exhausting? And then after building Paragon, we went out to the suburb and then we built the Paradise Park, which is one of the most luxury shopping malls in the suburban of Bangkok. And then we will have a new project on the river very soon. Martin had asked me to present the case of Siam Center, the 40-year-old mall, and it has gone through major renovations 6 times. I did it all 6 times. So can you imagine if you have to do the 7th? What would you do? And it was a really, really challenging, work. And the concept that we were thinking about, what should we do? This is how it looked before renovation, and to me it still looked very good. I don't know why I spent $300 million renovated it, but I had to because of the competition and because of its size. Siam Center is only 500,000 square feet compared to our Siam Paragon 5 million square feet, so it's next door. So what do? I have no choice. The size does matter. So I think about if we're going to do something nowadays, what is the definition of being different? When you go to all the shopping malls around the world, they are really, really good. Whether my competitor in Thailand or in Hong Kong or here in Macau, fantastic. Everywhere in the world. You know why? Because developers are so good nowadays. Architects are great. They can, design whatever to look iconic, the landmark, whatever they can add on if you have the budget. And also, moreover, the retailers are really, really good. From the top luxury brand down to, any brand, they are very good with branding. And they are very, very strong. So whatever they are, wherever they are, their presence dominates the shopping mall, which is good, which is great. So if I'm going to do another 7-time renovation, what should I do? So I thought that let's do whatever nobody else did. Okay, let's do something expect the unexpected. Totally opposite. And that is very difficult. It's easy to say, but very difficult to think and plan and make it happen. So for me, what I'm trying to do is to do the retail revolution. I made a vow to myself that I'm not going to do another shopping mall. So this time it doesn't look like a mall. I'm going to build a building with a soul. And it's going to be the first time that I have to beg all the retailers, 300 of them, to do one concept, one theme, one for all and all for one. And something very exclusive that never before happened and will never happen anywhere else. So the revolutionary concept is to introduce and challenge retailers to do something which is like they are rebranding themselves with us. They are the best already, but they can do more. I have to challenge them to do more. First is to do the new prototype store design, which they have never done it anywhere else. It has to be in my theme because I'm going to go for industrial chic. I'm going to be a black building. I'm going to use the material that they don't use in department store like concrete, iron beam, woods, copper, leather with the interior design. And I ask each and every one of them to think of their store as a gallery that they can present their best image in a new revolutionary way. So that's very difficult. And moreover, besides the new store design, I have asked them to produce an exclusive product, at least 20% of their stock in the store. Yes, I have been succeeded with the local, but they are very difficult because they are top Thai designers. They are very good. To make exclusive product for Sam Center was almost impossible. But for international brand, I had to convince them that whatever the new collection that they are bringing to Bangkok, please display here the first 3 weeks and then distribute to other branches. And moreover, I cannot be just about fashion or lifestyle, but nowadays, my customer, they come to Sam Center. For 40 years, we are the center of Bangkok. So they have high expectation. They come to update themselves. They come to update with everything. They are the people that appreciate art, very much into innovative lifestyle and also digital world. So I had to invent a new concept that is the convergence of art, fashion, technology, and lifestyle all together. And most of all, I have to make the building alive all the time. It's not just the decoration. It's not just the ambience that you once invested, did it, they saw it, and that's it. But how can I make the customer feel that every time they come to this place, it changes? It always introduces something new and inspired my customer. So actually, it's the power of the absolute Siam concept that we're creating for the new fashionista DNA. The things that will go and grab the customer heart. And then we have to go on every digital connection, interactive with the customer, all the application that will go instantly into the customer mobile phone when they get into Sam Center. They can know all the news, the promotion of each store instantly when they step into the building. I have to do that. And also, I even have to talk to them in the hologram, in something that is extraordinary. Gone is the poster and normal LED, TV screen or whatever. I have to do more. And then we made a vow that from the day we reopen Siam Center, it's going to be the ideal polis. It's the city of idea. And it's the biggest collaboration ever happened from the local talents and the international icons. So that is what we are doing. And we have opened Sam Center early in January. And this is how it looks. Actually, I have a lot of photos. But Martin said I had only 15 minutes. So I had 100 slides, and now I cut it into 50. So we're halfway there, almost, and I'm running out of time. So this is how it looks. I work with the artists in Japan to create the mobile, hanging. This is the Food Republic from Singapore. They never did this prototype of design before. Industrial chic, but they did it with this extraordinary food court. We brought the artist's masterpiece from the artists of Thai to display there. Everything displayed on the gigantic LED screen to create ever-changing ambience all the time. We work in collaborative with international artists to do the moving content, and even the stairs down to the toilet in the basement is interactive. It's the advertising. Everything, we have 500 LED screen everywhere to talk to the customer, including this digital closet. The customer can try on any dress, any clothes without taking their clothes off, not going naked here. But instantly, when they take photograph, their photo, they put in the Instagram. Within 2 minutes, it will be televised all over the building in 500 LED screen. So it's fun. They can play with their friend. They can chat within 500 screen and be happy with it. And then my retailers work very hard to not to be in the room. Everyone is open. They have four-sided open. And how can they decorate? So this is how they did it. You know, so they are fashion, and then they are really the trendsetter. So they are coming up with a prototype store that we all can be proud of. And this is Charles and Keith from Singapore. They have never done anything like this before, and they did it with Sam Center. So all this design, all this handmade and masterpiece of art is displayed as a, pride item in every corner. And we have the avenue on the ground floor, which we call Idea Avenue. That every 6 weeks, we change all the new ideas in the world. The new technology, new mobile phone, the trend color, the new cosmetic, whatever is happening will be here. And customer can enjoy it, interact with it, be happy with it. So this is, when we launch, we use this phrase, be amazed, be inspired, and be revolutionary. We want everyone to be revolutionary and do whatever they have not done, and be brave, be daring, and be crazy enough to do it. So this is on the day of the opening. I have 10,000 people queue in front of the building for 14 hours in order to be the first. And look at the people. I have 350,000 guests coming, and they're running into the center when we open the door at 6 o'clock in the night. And look at this. We even have the red carpet because we invited the world movie star Adrian Brody. The first time we welcomed the Oscar winner into Thailand, So all the party and everything, we really launched it in the world-class manner. And also we have 500 reporters from 17 countries. And then we have 10,000 photo upload on Instagram within 2 nights. 257 movies out of Siam Center on the YouTube within 3 days. So it was really overwhelming. So that is a story about the Siam Center that I wish to share with you. I couldn't sleep the night before I opened because I don't know what was going to happen. But it's proven that if you dare to do something different, it's a big reward. I have 25% increase of visitors per day, and we attract tourists around the world. We have been on many, many articles, online and offline, until now for 10 months. And that's not the end of it. We're going to do another phenomenon in Thailand, and this time, I think it's on the place that is unparalleled. It's on the unrivaled river, the river of King, the Chao Phraya River. And this time, this project is going to be the pride of Thailand. When you think about Thailand, I think this is the familiar photo of places that you would recognize. We have a lot of things to talk about. We have a very, very nice historical places, very beautiful scenery, superb Thai arts and culture, all of the classical dancing, the festival. We are the food of the world. Thai food is marvelous. We are the kings of fruits. So many choice, and the spirit of Thai people is something that is extraordinary. I think the Tourism Authority of Thailand has done very, very good job to promote all this festival around the world. And it's really, really the charm of Thailand. Recently, the government is going to promote Thailand as the Venice of the East, and there will be a lot of government projects alongside the river. to enhance the significance of the river that has been the lifeline of Bangkok and Thai people. So we have the honor to have a piece of land with half-kilometer waterfront, and it's 22 acres. And Siam Piwat has partnered with CP Jaran Pokapan Group to do the project that is going to be the icon of Thailand. And it's going to be the first project that is the largest investment ever happened in private sector, 1.17 billion US dollars. And it will tell the story of the heritage of Thailand, the significant history, the spirit of Thai people. So we are curating the new paradigm that is going to be the excellence of Thailand in the near future. So we're going to build a lot of things that bear the culture and also become the iconic landmark, because we're surrounded by all the 5-star hotels, Mandarin Hotel Peninsula on the side, Millennium Hilton, and also Shangri-La and Sheraton, and only 5 minutes away from the journey to the Royal Palace. So this is going to be a very difficult project, but once again, I have to think out of the box, and not only us, but we will receive all the support from Thai people to do something different in the year 2016. And I hope that, if possible, we'll be able, that this place is going to host the significant seminar of the tourism industry. Not too long, 2016. Thank you. ขอบคุณค่ะ
Spoken from the heart, as we all know. And I didn't hit my watch because unusually the room is filling up, not emptying. So the word is obviously going around that this is an event worth hearing. We're delighted Pansy's with us too after all her hard work. And that she has seen herself through a personal tour with Kunpam the great imagination and the forethought for the future. So it's our pleasure to get two such dynamic ladies together. We're going to finish on a very different note, but one I thought you'd enjoy hearing. And I must declare a personal bias because David is from my home base of Northern Ireland, which I probably don't need to remind you has gone through its own share of trouble in the last 30 years. And the project you're going to hear about is a rallying point for the community in Belfast to stop them talking about or returning to terrorism and get them focused on tourism. So if there was ever an example of how you could go from a very unfortunate situation to a very upbeat one, this project, which David's going to brief you on, I think symbolizes that. It also focuses on one of the great travel icons of all time, and that's the Titanic. David, over to you.
Thank you very much, Martin. I'm absolutely delighted to be present at the forum. And having never been to Macau, I would like to thank Martin in particular and Pansy for this marvellous present. I'm so inspired by what I have seen here in Macau and what has happened in such a short time. I come from a green land some 10,000 kilometres away, but just 12 hours by flight. It is a land of leprechauns and Guinness, lakes and mountains, shamrocks and clover, music and stories, wise men and women. We are 200 times smaller in numbers of people than China and 100 times smaller in landmass, but we are known across the world. Our land is called Ireland, and I live on a small part of this island that is today called Northern Ireland. For 800 years, we've been in conflict in some shape or form with our neighbouring country, Britain. But now we have peace. And as most people in this room know, peace is a delicate flower that needs to be cherished and nurtured. Across the island of Ireland, we are known as the land of saints. St. Patrick, who brought Christianity to Ireland and many other parts of Europe. Scholars, too many to mention, but recently we lost our beloved Seamus Heaney, Nobel laureate for literature and one of the world's greatest poets of modern time. Sexy film stars, Liam Neeson and Gabriel Byrne, both of whom I once worked with when I was at university, when I was a stuntman in the Arthurian film Excalibur. And of course, sports stars, including two of the world's greatest modern-day golfers, Rory McIlroy and Graham McDowell, who hone their skills on the best natural golf courses in the world. Sorry, Portugal. And of course, as Martin said, ships, the most famous of which was the Titanic, a tragic story that universally captures people's imaginations. It is an amazing mix of human hubris and ingenuity, romance and luxury, tragedy and despair, hope and healing. 100 years later, we are restoring that sense of enterprise that made Belfast one of the most dynamic places in the industrial world. At the centre of this transformation is Titanic Quarter. Last year, in time for the centenary of the sinking of the Titanic, we saw in Belfast what happens through a fantastic public-private partnership. A bold decision was taken to invest in our future, build it, and they have come. We're now attracting hundreds of thousands to Belfast, from Brooklyn to Beijing and Macau on this side of the world. At the recent G8 conference held in Northern Ireland, a stunning new series of adverts was commissioned, and there was one of Titanic Quarter that captures magnificently part of our story, the amazing Game of Thrones, that is now world-renowned and is being shot in Titanic Studios. The poster has the strapline, "Extraordinary things happen here." This spectacular building of Titanic Belfast, designed by a Texan architect, Eric Kuhn, is at the heart of Titanic Quarter. In its first year, more than 800,000 visitors from 128 countries, including a significant number from China, came, exceeding all expectations. The attraction is a game changer for the region and is playing a major part in restoring confidence in our city. I'd like to now run a short film, and I'll end up with a few finishing words that share our plans with you of what we want to do in Titanic Quarter in the next decade and beyond. And I will also make a promise when you come to Belfast. If you could show the film, that would be great.
Taxi drivers are the ambassadors of every city. And so we're always asking the taxi drivers, what's going on? And the stories that they would tell about the construction of Titanic Belfast, I wish I had recorded every one of them, because they are just marvelous revelations of cynicism being dashed by wonder, about absolute irritation being replaced by awe. You could see the city starting to believe in itself.
I think that this is arguably the most fantastic building ever constructed on the island of Ireland, or even in the whole of Western Europe.
We've had visitors from 111 countries in the first 6 months. Half of the people coming from out of state are going to Belfast specifically because of Titanic Belfast, that it's drawing them there.
The architecture is so amazing.
It's beautiful.
I think the penny dropped after we'd had the Easter period and the first month, and then we went into May and June, which is not a traditional holiday period, but we were still doing the numbers.
We'd travel from Yorkshire again to come and go around again, wouldn't we?
I'm
I'm queuing for a ticket. I didn't think I'd be able to get one today, so I'm absolutely delighted.
This is absolutely full on from 9 o'clock in the morning through to 7 o'clock at night.
You would think that the movie would be more exciting, but all these interesting facts and things to learn, it's been really amazing experience.
Yeah. We can't see the real thing, right? We couldn't see the Titanic in person, but now we can at least live the experience. It seems like as if you were right there.
It was the best day out of school ever. It's far better than being in school and you learn much more here. It feels like you can reach out and grab all the stuff and like you're experiencing the Titanic. It's class. It's probably the best thing in Belfast.
We're all very excited because apparently in about 2 minutes' time, Father Christmas is going to appear from just around the corner, make his way across here, led by none other than his favourite reindeer, Scruffy.
Titanic Belfast is definitely the most exciting venue, I would say, in the world right now. So it was absolutely imperative that the marketing awards for Ireland were based here in Belfast at Titanic Belfast.
Clients are wowed straight away with the heritage and history that the building has, but in such a modern setting.
We walked in and you just felt it was much, much, much more than we anticipated.
Absolutely sensational, out of this world.
We're here. I do feel that we have come to a point where Belfast should be proud of its connection with Titanic. It was thrown at us, how can you celebrate something like this? I think we've answered that question. You can't miss what's here. You have to come to Belfast.
The management team in particular, we've got a terrific management team there, and they're very alive to the need to keep Titanic Belfast fresh, to keep it dynamic. I think that we will be a must-see destination for tourists for a long time.
It's not a museum, it's an active, interactive adventure, really, to learn more. But where I think they've struck the balance extraordinarily well is between the commemoration of those who died, which of course is a very real part of the story, but also now you can feel some pride in the building of the ship.
It's about changing people's views of Northern Ireland. It's about giving civic pride to the people that live here.
Up until now, we've been troubles people. You know, you go anywhere in the world, where do you come from? Belfast. Oh, right. Balaclavas and gunmen and murals. That was our identity. And I think that there is real hope that in years to come, you go anywhere in the world, where do you come from? Belfast. Ah, you guys built Titanic.
The end of a year, we face the electorate, and we have to talk about what we have delivered. I'd be very surprised if Titanic isn't close to the top of that list.
There's just one comment I want to make. President Obama came to Belfast before the G8 started, and one aspect which is distinguishing about the island of Ireland, and particularly Northern Ireland, is we have the youngest population in Europe. It is fundamental to the future of any land that you give hope to children, and that's what President Obama said. This building and what we're doing in Titanic Quarter gives hope to children. So less than a decade ago, Titanic Quarter was a wasteland, and I mean a wasteland. Indeed, for most in our wee island, it would have been impossible to have dreamt that so much positive change could have happened in this short time. We are recapturing the energy and drive that existed right there 4 generations ago. It is one of Europe's largest urban waterfront regeneration schemes, planned over 185 acres on the site where the mighty Titanic was built. Today, about 1,000 people live in Titanic Quarter, some 5,000 people work there, and more than 1 million visitors. Our vision is that by 2025, more than 20,000 people will live there, 30,000 people will work there, and more than 5 million, of which I hope a significant percentage will come from this part of the world, will be visiting one of the great waterfront regeneration projects in Europe. Coming to Macau and China has just reinforced in my mind that this dream can come true. This is the most exciting journey of my lifetime. All of us working in Titanic Quarter, and Michael Graham's been there for 12 years, feel that we are connecting with a universal human spirit. The instinctive need to imagine, to think bigger, better, to go further, faster, to envisage, to achieve, to dream, to build. We've produced a pocket-sized booklet for this event today, which I have here, and it's available to all of you outside the door. You can tuck it in your pocket or in your handbag, and I hope it will prompt you to book that flight to Belfast. At the moment, you have to go through London or Dublin, but Martin and I are working on getting it directly to Belfast. Leave it on your desk or in the kitchen, and until you do, don't move it. Book that flight. I promise you that if you go from here to there, you will have a wonderful time. On the island of Ireland, we love people, and I can also promise you that the Guinness tastes so much better there. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, there you go. I didn't know how you could finish with more passion and commitment than that. David, fantastic, straight from the heart, as really all the presentations have been. We are very close to running dangerously over schedule, but I just wanted to finish with a general question down the line in the last 2 or 3 minutes, and that is to ask you all, what have you learnt from this forum, and what should we be talking about next year? I'm giving you time to think about this, and I think we'll start with Kay Cheong. Kay, what have you learned, and what should we talk about next year?
I think I thought this panel is a nice way of ending this forum, because we look at all the statistics, trends in our industry in every segment. Now coming to closure by looking at the future. I think that is. Now, having said that, for maybe next year, why don't we bring some young people speak to us also? That might be interesting to hear the perspective from next generation of tourism industry.
Good idea. I think, can we all agree on that, Mr. de Jong as well? Any specific additional point? It'll have to be brief.
通过这个论坛呢，我觉得第一呢，是接到了很多的信息，大量的信息。第二的话呢，是接收了很多的经验，特别是经营这个酒店呐、旅游产业的这些经验。第三的话呢，是有很多研究的新的观点。最后一个呢，通过澳门这个论坛这个平台啊，用现代的语言来说，就是连接了一个网络，就把那个世界上经营旅游的，包括旅游的城市，通过这个平台啊互相连接，然后呢产生交流，产生一个互动。那么我希望啊，明年就是第3届这个论坛呢，会办得更加好，更有那个专题性，更有专业性。谢谢。
Thank you very much. That's a good summary. What about our naked and wild friends in the middle? A quick soundbite from you both.
Well, you know, I've attended a few conferences, especially around China, where they're quite popular. And what I've taken from this is the passion. There has been incredible passion from the speakers in all the different sessions. and incredibly well organized. So I've taken a lot of learnings, but mostly I'm just excited to see that there is a number of like-minded people with the enthusiasm and passion to take tourism to the next level.
Great. Mizang, you're nodding, and I know you have a flight soon, so I know you're going to be brief.
So I'll be brief. I'm amazed to see all the dreams that were realized by the panel here, and it's just so inspiring. It makes me feel like there's so much more one can do. And the whole conference is extremely well organized, so congratulations to Pansy and the team. Next year, I actually earlier heard a good suggestion of somehow bringing maybe a city or government and private sector together to share some of the success stories of how policymakers with private sector work together to move sustainable.
Right. Public-private, that's right in Pata's space. We're happy to do that. Pam, your thoughts?
I'll be brief because actually I just arrived last night. Unfortunately, had meeting in Bangkok, but it's really an impressive seminar, and I think it's in the right place because Macau is a city, it's so extraordinary and exciting. So I think next year it will be, much more excitement here. And then whatever is the collaboration between everyone in the tourism industry, I think that's the charm of it. So
that's the charm of it. Good.
Yeah, really.
David, I think the final thing is, can you get Guinness here and then everything will be perfect, right?
No, Martin, it's only Guinness in Ireland. But I'd just like to pick up on one suggestion you made yesterday, Martin, and I think a solid program is what is great out of conferences. I'd love to start a program in Northern Ireland called the Pilot Program in dedication to you, which starts training young pilots and brings them over here as part of a program to address the shortage that you identified yesterday.
Oh, that's very kind. Yep, we need plenty of people to fly, and I think we need lots of more young people to be enthused. So can I remind you all, very loud final applause, because I'm hoping there's still quite a few thousand people online who've been tuned into this live streaming, which has been a bit of an experiment, and we'll analyze the results. And Pansy, thanks for supporting that as well at short notice. So therefore, wherever you are still tuned into this, thanks for your time. But I think it goes without saying, this has really been one of the best panels I've ever moderated at any time. So thank you, everyone, and thank you for your time.
谢谢，谢谢主持人及，谢谢主持人。
Don't leave because there is one more element, and Pansy's going to, I believe, explain that to you. Would you like to comment?
Yes. Oh, why don't you?
Ladies and gentlemen, please do stay. This is not going to take too much longer, but I think it's really quite important that you're aware of what's happening next. So the panel's welcome to stay on stage. This can be quite informal, but it's important to get the message over. We plan to do an additional event next year after the Global Tourism Economy Forum has had its hat-trick. And as a result of several discussions in the last few months, Pansy has kindly agreed to lead a Gala Foundation ball, which will, I think, demonstrate our industry the way it should be showcased as helping other parts of society doing microfinancing for tourism events. I want Mario Hardy, our chairman of the Pata Foundation, to come here, and perhaps Pansy to add a few words to that. This is rather impromptu, but Pansy?
Just 1 second. I want to take one picture with this panel first.
Okay. Panel picture. I think we should have our PATA chairman here as well. Is Yao Antunes there? Yes. Thank you. And Michelle, I think you should come on stage because you're going to have a lot to do with this.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
谢谢各位嘉宾。
Mr. Craig's, would you like us to present a video by the PATA Foundation first and then have the speeches and the announcement?
Yes.
Let's do that, okay?
Yeah. I think, if I heard you right, Hansi, what we were going to do is show a 2.5-minute video of the type of project that the money we would intend to raise from a gala charity ball would go to. What, people going? We can play it later, whatever suits. Sure.
So let's do that?
Sure. Okay. No problem. Good. All right, we'll go to the closing ceremony afterwards. Good.
So we'll now show a video by the PATA Foundation after the coffee break. So ladies and gentlemen, we'll now have a short, maybe 10-minute coffee break, and then we'll come back for the closing ceremony and the special announcement. Thank you.
现在是小休时间，10分钟。
Tourism, I think, is very important. It's very good to help the communities, and the local people can earn money from the tourists. So that's a very good thing. We can learn English languages from the tourists. So it helps a lot.
Many members of the community have invested an enormous amount in tourism.
75 million.
And it is really an ongoing challenge to make sure that the tourists keep coming to the village and the tourists enjoy their experience.
Last year, teacher came to the village. Chính nghe trung tông vấn van chẳng tài vừa ye mình tổ số vừa buổi ye cho.
Anh vừa cho cao quá anh vừa giả vừa hắn nói lẽ vừa có hiếu tụ mãi.
It's taken a long journey to get here. After years teaching some pretty fundamental skills, we're at this point where in order for the community to be truly sustainable, it will rest on strong business-to-business relationships.
This trip, we've taken 11 Red Zao women to the city of Hanoi.
It was the opportunity to sit down and speak to large tour operators on the same level.
We are wondering about the number of homestays.
Tell me how the homestays work. How much do you charge for your homestays?
Tức là nếu mà bao gồm cũng như là khách sạn mình làm ấy thì nếu mà ngủ như thế nào thì bao gồm ăn sáng.
They were able to really talk about who they are and what they can offer and really have a conversation. The tour operators could see a product that was going to benefit their clients, and they're really keen on trying to develop the proper product to bring the right people through.
Tourism, unfortunately, can have a very destructive effect on communities, but those communities never have the opportunity to have a voice. Hopefully, with the relationship established, these villagers can have a very important and powerful role in the development of tourism in their village.
More products, for example, I work or I study in the city, I still keep my culture, I keep my language, I don't want to change them. We should learn education but keep the culture as well. That is very important.
We can only play a very small part, but we think that educating about the basic principles of business management and working together is one small contribution that we can make. Ultimately, it's up to the villagers and the private sector to come together to make tourism successful over the long term.